Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it away. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it away.
Hey guys, welcome in. How is everybody doing this evening? Welcome into tonight's live. It is, what is today? Tuesday or Wednesday? It's Tuesday. I had to look at my watch. This week's I'm going to be off all week because of Memorial Day. But welcome in. It's Tuesday, the 27th of May, and you are hanging out with me here. My name is Tanya or TitaniumBuilt. If you're new, if you're not new and you're coming back for another live, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I truly appreciate it. And if you are new, my name is Tanya. So welcome on in, everyone. I won't go through the whole list of everybody's names, but I do see that we have a lot of people in here, and it's really good to see everybody. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and as we go through the live, I'll try to answer them as best as I can because I'll be on like a couple different screens here. But we're going to go over tonight. We're going to go over episode 2, season 1, season 1, episode 2. I accidentally last night played season 2. I was wondering, like, when we were listening to it, I was like, this seems like so far out from like where we should be, like on the timeline. And I didn't catch it. I was just rolling with it. So for some reason, like when I went back, it just did something funky. So we're going to play the season 1, episode 2 tonight. It's a good one, though. I listened to it earlier. Also, after the live tonight, if you are a member of the channel, there is a video. The first podcast, I'm going to put that out. So it'll be out on video for you guys to watch. It's just the podcast. So if you guys don't want to watch the whole live or you guys don't make it to the lives, it'll be there for you. So it'll be for members only tonight till tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. And then it'll go to everybody. So everybody can watch it then. So that's all my news, I think, for you guys. I do want to play, though, the podcast this evening, and I want to review Bryan's initial court proceedings. I want to see how his demeanor has maybe like changed compared to now from when he was first charged with the crime. So it'll be a good time. So I'm going to pull up the timeline first, and then we'll go watch the podcast. I think we went through this part of the timeline, a little bit of it, but I want to go back over just the arrest part and then up until like the first hearing. This is the first timeline that was like really put out there. So some of it doesn't have like the newest information in it, but it gives us what we need from, because we're going back and kind of reviewing. So December 30th, the warrant info was received. So actually, let's go to December 29th. So December 29th, they do a press conference. Moscow Police Department, they come out and they do a presser. And they then secretly, they have a probable cause order signed by Judge Marshall. The arrest warrant is signed by Judge Marshall. And criminal complaint filed, probable cause order is filed, Brett Payne affidavit of probable cause for arrest is filed. And these are all in the afternoon, 2 o'clock, 2:22, 2:43. And then December 30th, the warrant info from Wells Fargo is received. And I believe that was the surveillance they were looking for. At 1:30 a.m. on the 30th, December 30th, Pennsylvania State Police served a search warrant at 119 Lambsden Drive in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, for Bryan Kohberger. At 7:30 a.m., multiple unmarked law enforcement vehicles are seen in front of Kohberger's Washington apartment, per witness Randy Smith, and a neighbor and employee at WSU. At 8:36 a.m., the defendant, a notice defendant arrested in foreign jurisdiction is filed, meaning, he was in another state. They need to put him, they're trying to travel, to another state with him. And then they did an order appointing public defender, and then the rest made public release, press release conference they had. And then that came on at 1 o'clock. They did the press release or the press conference, sorry. At 1:41, BK's innovation, I can't even say it, of rights is filed. And then Ann Taylor files a notice of limited appearance. So all this is happening like right after he's arrested. He hasn't even gotten back to Idaho yet. And Ann Taylor's already like put in her notice, like, pick me. I'm the only one here, in Northern Idaho, I guess. So she just was like, this is going to be her case. And I don't know if it's listed in here, but there was rumors. Now, I'm not saying that they're not true. I'm not saying they're true, because one person's saying no, one person's saying yes. But if you guys remember, Kara Kernodle was going through some stuff in the legal. She was in some trouble, and she had Ann Taylor was supposed to be her public defender. She even told Ashley Banfield that she signed over her power of attorney to Ann Taylor. And Ann Taylor was like, no, she never did that. My name is just on the letterhead because I'm like the public defender she's like the head public defender or something for that office. She ended up dropping Kara as a client and picked up Bryan Kohberger. That's kind of a punch to the face, no matter what. No matter what. Now, would I sign my power of attorney over to my attorney, like power of attorney to my attorney? No. Why would you do that? They'd have control of everything. I would never sign my power of attorney to nobody but Vincent. Like, nobody. Sorry about that. Like, really be careful with that stuff. It's crazy. I hate power of attorneys. I really do. My mom had one. It was stupid. I'm like, it was stupid. So then they had the extradition hearing for Bryan Kohberger. And they, I'm sorry. So the defense put in an order to preserve the crime scene, and evidence was filed. And then the Google warrant was obtained and served. They had press conference, and then they just had filed some stuff here. And then it goes down here and goes, a first initial court appearance is going to be January 5th. So we'll go over and we'll listen to the podcast. This is going to be 6 days after the arrest. So this was released on August the 9th. This podcast was of 2023. This episode focuses on the arrest and first court appearance of Bryan Kohberger, the suspect in the November 13th, 2022, murders of 4 University of Idaho students, Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, in their off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho. It explores Kohberger's background as a criminology PhD student at Washington State University, his troubled past, including his personality changes, drug use, inappropriate behavior, and it raises questions about his potential motives for this crime. It does go over the investigation, including evidence like DNA on the knife sheath, the white Hyundai Elantra, which led to his arrest in Pennsylvania on December 30th, 2022. So let me share this tab here with you. I will put up photos so that way there's something else to look at, not just, the black screen. So thanks again for being here, guys. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate you guys being here with me. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you'd like. I will put the link for the membership in the chat if anybody would like to become a member. We'd love to have you. And yeah, that's all I think we got. I'll go ahead and press play. And welcome in again, everybody. And I'll be in the chat with you guys. Let me make sure this is the right one. Okay. Season 5, episode 2. Okay.
Do you remember where you were when you found out about the arrest?
I remember hearing from somebody who's pretty reliable that something was coming soon. And I said, well, what's soon? And the person said, I think something's coming in about 3 weeks. And then 2 days later, they announced they're having a press conference.
Is that standard, by the way, to do that?
This was a case that garnered international attention. So I think that they knew that they had to let the public know as quickly as they could that an arrest had been made. So we get news that there's going to be a press conference. And we thought they're not having a press conference unless they've got something major to talk about. So we just started scouring around and I started texting people who I thought would know. And I got a picture back of a guy named Bryan Kohberger at Washington State University. And I thought to myself, who's this? This is a PhD student in criminology. This is the guy. So it was pretty stunning.
This is The Idaho Massacre, a production of KT Studios and iHeartRadio. Episode 2, The Face of Fear. I'm Courtney Armstrong, a television producer at KT Studios with Stephanie Lydecker, Jeff Shane, and Connor Powell.
This morning, authorities putting a face to the fear.
On Thursday, January 5th, 2023, University of Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger made his first appearance in Idaho since his arrest. The day before, the 28-year-old criminology PhD student was extradited from his hometown in Albertsville, Pennsylvania.
Count 2 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. Count 3, a murder in the first degree. Count 4, a murder in the first degree. Count 5, a murder in the first degree.
After the 4 charges of first-degree murder were read, Kohberger, wearing an orange prison jumpsuit and a vacant stare, spoke only to confirm he understood the charges.
The maximum penalty for this offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Kohberger's defense attorney, Ann Taylor, requested bail for her client. Leda County Magistrate Megan Marshall rejected the request. Kohberger was led away to his prison cell. But who is Bryan Kohberger? How did a little-known, mild-mannered graduate student become the only criminal suspect in a quadruple homicide? And if he is the murderer, why would someone who professed to want a career catching criminals become one? When police stormed Bryan Kohberger's family home in the early hours of December 30th, the sleepy community of Indian Mountain Lake Estates in Albertsville, Pennsylvania, became the epicenter of the investigation into the murders of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin.
And Indian Mountain Lake is billed as a Pocono resort community. And it's also a private gated community. And not all private communities in the Poconos are gated, but all gated communities are private, if that makes sense.
That's Rod Devine speaking to producer Jeff Shane. Rod Devine is a nationally known licensed private detective. His firm is Divine Intervention Detective Services and has offices in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is about 40 minutes from Bryan Kohberger's parents' home.
They get to bill themselves as a Pocono resort, but it's not, we're not talking about a strongly wooded area. If you probably would go into Indian Mountain Lake, you would find medium to upper middle class people in neighborhoods that have homes not unlike any other neighborhood.
It sounds like what you're saying is it's just pretty normal. Like it's a standard neighborhood.
It's a standard neighborhood, absolutely. And if you go another 40 minutes to an hour, you're going to get to those places where you probably have envisioned in your mind that are cabins that are in the woods and your next neighbor over or in between you and a bunch of trees and things like that. That's very real, and that's not too far from where this Indian Mountain Lake is. To use your terminology, and it's very normal. It's a single dwelling. It's it's a regular neighborhood, and it's not deep in a rural wooded area.
Is there anything about it that stands out or that would make it that you would walk past it and be like, you know what I mean? Like based on the pictures, it just looks like every other house in that neighborhood.
It is. You wouldn't look twice about it if you're walking in that community because it's one of many the same. There's nothing that stands out about it.
According to public documents, the Kohbergers moved to Pennsylvania from New York.
I grew up in New Jersey myself, and I was born in Brooklyn. So it's not unusual to see people from New York and New Jersey gravitate to the Pocono area. I've got a home currently in the Poconos, and a lot of my neighbors are New York City cops, ex-New York City cops. There's a lot of firemen and things like that. So that's very normal. And I guess if we're looking for normalcy, these guys meet that if you look at on paper. I mean, they've got mom and dad's got 3 kids. Mom and dad are from New York, got a house up in the Poconos. It seems like they've lived up there for close to 30 years. On paper, these guys are very quote unquote normal from what I've seen of this guy. And he doesn't seem a little off until you start hearing about the backstory, and that is where sometimes you have to stand back and look at things a little bit closer, because it's a lot easier to look at someone after you've got a story and say, yeah, he seems a little bit off. There's no one that wears that hat that says, I'm going to mug you, or I'm going to rape you, or I'm going to kill you. You just don't know.
If Bryan Kohberger is the killer behind the gruesome Idaho murders, he is anything but normal. But what in his background could explain his actions? Here's Jeff and Stephanie.
28-year-old Bryan Kohberger is a criminology student getting his PhD at Washington State University, which is about 15 to 20 minutes from Moscow in Idaho. We also know that Bryan Kohberger drives a white Hyundai Elantra, which is potentially a key piece of evidence.
If in fact what Bryan Kohberger is accused of turns out to be true, he is the scariest person alive. But it's almost as though he would be the real life Dexter. Dexter is this fictitious character from a scripted series where this very smart and fairly functional guy turns out to actually be the serial killer. It's also like that scripted series on Netflix called You, where the killer is just this ordinary guy, some unexpected murderer who works at a bookshop. But this is not pretend, and he is not a character. He's not wearing a Halloween mask and some black cloak over himself like you would see in a scary movie. This is just an unassuming PhD student who lives allegedly a few miles away from the victims.
For years, the Kohbergers lived in Effort, Pennsylvania, a small town near where Bryan was arrested. Both his parents, Michael and Marianne, worked for the Pleasant Valley School District, the same one where Bryan would attend high school. This is the same school district where Kohberger and his 2 sisters attended school.
According to the people we spoke to, the Kohbergers lived a very, air quotes, normal middle-class life. And from a young age, friends say that Bryan was a bit shy, that he was very awkward, but that he desperately wanted to be an Army Ranger or a police officer.
He was pretty normal. He was definitely heavier set, and that caused issues in school.
As a young kid, Kohberger was overweight and was often bullied. Then he lost 100 pounds his senior year in high school. But it wasn't only his appearance that changed. His demeanor did as well. The dramatic change, according to people who knew Bryan Kohberger, stems from his time in the law enforcement vocational program in high school.
It's interesting because when he was being enrolled in our program, we were told that this was all he wanted, protective services, that this was something that he had been dreaming of for a long time, that he had been working toward for a long time. And so to find out that kind of went awry to the degree that it did was very surprising, to be honest. So, however, with that said, after he had been enrolled, there were some circumstances that led us to believe that maybe there were going to be some difficulties in Bryan's life that weren't going to contribute to him having an easy time of it. It wasn't going to be just ending up in the police academy kind of thing for him. It was going to be a little bit more of a challenge for him to get there.
Is a former school administrator who oversaw student discipline and mental health at Bryan Kohberger's high school. She remembers him well because of the passion Kohberger had for becoming a police officer.
But the reason that I remember his application was because of the way the guidance counselor just really played it up, how it was, all he wanted.
However, she says Kohberger struggled in the law enforcement program.
He was a leader in his class. He absolutely was. He took the class extremely seriously. And so in that regard, it was evident that that was really something he was very interested in doing as a career.
He was interested in doing that as a career, right? And he wanted to go to technical school for it. You can go I think your junior, senior year, most schools, you can go to a technical school and get that background training. So that way you're got a step ahead, of the game. But he couldn't leave the girls alone, apparently.
However, even though he was a leader in the class, that sometimes leaders don't always get the respect that they should.
Oh, didn't get the respect.
At some point in Kohberger's junior year, there was an incident with other students. Says she can't elaborate about the specific incident because of legal reasons. Here's speaking with Jeff Shane.
Protective services and health occupations were the only two programs in our school where clearances were required to be, as a student, to be in those programs. So you were judged a little bit more carefully in those programs. Therefore, if you have an infraction that could potentially, as an adult in the field, be a big employment issue for you, then we would very seriously look at removing you from the program. So a situation occurred where a complaint was made, and the teacher reported it to me and said, this is not something we can have. An investigation needed to be conducted. Other students were interviewed. Bryan was interviewed. And, there comes a time when decisions have to be made, whether it's the decision the student wants or not.
It must be such a tough position
It's
for
horrible
you to be in, because it's his, it's someone's dream.
It's horrible. Yeah, it is. And especially because by virtue of what I do with special education and guidance, like I said, I'm all about second chances. But and I recognize that these are still kids, but because of these two programs, we don't have a whole lot of latitude there and ability for forgiveness. However, with that said, and as you may know, it doesn't mean that you can't transition into another program that doesn't have the requirement of clearances. He was removed from protective services and transitioned into HVAC. And then at the end of that 11th grade year is when he decided not to return as a senior.
Do you remember what he was feeling like when that transition happened?
I believe he was going through other stuff that was not a part of what was happening at our school. So my feeling was that he was defeated, because it's the only thing he ever wanted in life, and you have it, and now that's falling through. But then something else that's going on in your life that's not even relevant to that is also causing angst. And so I think it was just a lot of defeat.
you wouldn't describe it as angry or upset. It was more just like he was sad.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think that maybe he necessarily grasped the depth and breadth of the issue at hand. So I think there was frustration.
No, he most certainly did, because you all had kicked him out of the program and put him in the HVAC program. So he knew what was going on. It wasn't like he was like, oh, I'm going over here and I'm just going to be still learning about criminology. No, that's not the case. He knew what he was doing. Obviously, apparently, we heard from the guidance counselor and a teacher that it had to do with female students. They couldn't tell us exactly what happened because it's like sealed, student counselor, I guess. She can't talk about it or something, but she did, give clues as to why he got kicked out of the program.
As to not really understanding, I don't understand what the problem is. This is not a big deal, or this didn't happen. It wasn't like an anger, like an explosive anger, or anything at all like that. It was just,
or maybe what he thought he did wasn't a big deal.
It's like, seriously, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Did this happen a lot where students had to be pulled or switched or any of that?
It happened, but it didn't happen a lot, particularly in programs like protective services and health occupations, because those kids really had to fight to get into those programs, so to speak, because there's such a long waiting list. And if you're chosen, not to screw it up, because if you screw it up, you don't get a second chance, kind of thing. If you're removed in your sophomore year or whatever, you don't get to come back again in your junior year or your senior year. That's it. You're done.
I see. So is that the type of infraction that kids would get pulled for, like behavior or cheating or drugs or like drinking, or is that like, what are the types of infractions that would cause
to be removed from a program?
Yeah.
To be removed from a program, it has to be pretty severe. Again, the bar is pretty high when it comes to protective services and health. The level of expectation for behavior is held to a much higher standard there. But in the other programs, if it's a drug offense, then you're just out. If it's something that's really egregious, otherwise we let law enforcement handle it. You get suspended, you do your time, and you come back. But that kind of thing is not an option in a program like protective services, because again, in the field, you wouldn't be able to do that and still get your job back.
Knowing what allegedly we know now about what he did versus like what he wanted to become, how do you wrap your head around that?
It's interesting because ultimately and I have to be careful what I say, but like ultimately what had him removed from the program, when I look back on it now, makes sense. And I don't know, and that probably isn't clear for you at all. But the fact that he wanted law enforcement more than anything else in the world, if you look at it from just that perspective alone, not knowing what I know, then yeah, you'd be like, I can't, I'm so shocked. And in that respect, I am. But then I know another little piece, which is the piece that occurred at the school. And so then I'm like, but see, that makes sense.
It's like, spit it out, lady. What happened at the school? We want to know. You think that they'll have her go on the stand or anything? Like just to build a character, like, this is his character. This is what happened. Like, he's had allegedly he's had problems with women in every school he's been at. So maybe they will call him to the stand. They will do that, to build someone's character, but wouldn't be a very good character. I wouldn't want them on my side.
When I heard about the murders, it was actually the school guidance counselor that said, "Did you hear?" And I'm like, what?
Oh, see, hold on a second. I'm pausing this too much, but I don't mean to. So they could tell each other in the school no, I don't like that. Okay, no. So obviously, more than one person knows about what happened, and they were like talking about it. I don't like that.
But she said to me, then. "Did you hear about Bryan?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." She said, "Turn on the news." And then I was like, oh my God. But with that said, I was shocked, but it made sense.
Let's stop here for a break. We'll be back in a moment. Friends say it was around the time of his dismissal from the law enforcement vocation program that Kohberger lost weight and his personality changed.
I am just in absolute shock right now.
Casey Arntz was 2 years ahead of Kohberger in high school. She and her brother Thomas were friends with him.
But in high school, dramatic changes washed over Kohberger, according to several friends.
She says Kohberger went from being overweight to rail thin, and both Casey and Thomas say they remember Kohberger as a bully.
Bryan Kohberger's childhood friend Thomas speaking to ABC News, describing the Idaho murder suspect as mean in high school, saying Bryan was eager to be seen as dominant.
He would just put me in, he would grapple me and put me in headlocks and arm bars and stuff like that.
Kohberger also took up boxing and increasingly styled himself as a dominant alpha male. Another friend, Rich Pasqua, knew the Kohberger family and worked with Kohberger at a pizza shop.
I met him through some friends, and they told me that he was a little weird, and he was a little socially awkward, I guess you could say. But he wasn't a bad guy.
However, Pasqua also offered an explanation for the sudden weight loss and dramatic personality change.
He did use drugs. That's how I really know him, too. He was a big heroin addict, and so was I. I got 6 years clean now. I work in treatment and everything, but back then I was using, and so that's how I know for a fact he was using. I've got high with him a couple times.
After being kicked out of the law enforcement vocation program and opting not to return to the HVAC program after his junior year, Kohberger would graduate high school in 2013, finishing remotely online. At some point, he went to rehab and got clean. Kohberger began taking college classes in psychology and criminal justice at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. He graduated from DeSales with both an undergraduate and a master's degree. Michelle Bolger, a professor at DeSales, described Kohberger as a great writer and a brilliant student. She would later recommend him for a PhD program. Others say he was intelligent and nearly obsessive about criminology. But Kohberger was also described as creepy by others in the community.
2 years ago, a man he believes was Kohberger used to act so creepy to female customers, he had to tell them to stop. That Kohberger was asking people where they lived and who they lived with, if they were there alone, just very, very red flag questions.
Here again, Stephanie and Jeff.
I think that's one of the scarier parts about this case is the notion of someone being creepy. That's such a wide term. It's the person sitting next to you on an airplane or the person who moves into the apartment across the hall. We have to listen to our gut.
Yeah, Steph, I think hindsight is 20/20 in a case like this. All the behavior that Bryan exhibited at the time might have not meant anything, but now that we know what he's being accused of doing, we can kind of recontextualize it in our heads, and it kind of fits together like a puzzle to potentially something much more nefarious. But does all of that a killer make? We're not judge and jury. It's not up for us to decide. What we're trying to do is just break down the facts and let you, the listeners, come to your own conclusions.
What if he is innocent? I mean, he at this point says that he is innocent, and he claims that he had nothing to do with this. And if that's the case, then this person is really being tried in the press. And is that justice? Is that okay? But how does this ordinary guy from the Poconos in New York make a leap from being a student to a mass murderer? That is a huge jump. And again, he wrapped up his school session, hopped in his white Elantra with his dad, and road tripped across the country. Is that possible?
Here's reporter Anjanette Levy of the Law and Crime Network.
I think given the circumstances of this case, you have to kind of look at it and look at whether or not he was studying these things. If he's indeed the guy, if he's indeed factually guilty and he is the person who committed these crimes, I'm not talking about the legal standard. I think you have to kind of look at it and say, what was going on with him? Why was he studying this? Was this part of some type of motivation? What was his end game here? I think that we also have to just look at it through another lens too. Who is this guy? He is somebody who reportedly had addiction problems in high school. He had used heroin, from everything we've learned through our reporting. He's also somebody who apparently had a hard time getting dates, and really having close relationships with people. It sounds like he clashed with some of the people he was friends with when he was in high school. So I think there are a number of ways we have to look at this. If he's ultimately convicted, it could, a lot of his background could become more relevant. Let's say that this is something he was planning for a couple of years. If he's indeed the guy and he was planning this, maybe there's something there. Maybe this is why he was doing it. Maybe this is why he was studying criminology and looking at these behaviors. But everything we learned was, too, that he said he wanted to do something like, help rural police departments and stuff like that. So I don't know how studying serial killers or, how that would factor into, I want to be a mass killer. I don't know how that would factor into that.
Well, maybe because he couldn't get a job in investigations or in any kind of police work. He was working as a security guard, but that job, he didn't have that job anymore. So I just think that I don't know why or how your brain would switch from I want to work in police departments to I'm going to unalive, or I'm going to kill 4 people. Other than the fact that I think that he always had that thought in his head that he wanted to do something like this. And, maybe there'll be signs of that. Like later on, we'll learn, during trial. I swear there's going to be an episode of See No Evil with his parents on it in a couple years. They're going to say, our Bryan was just, when he was growing up, he had the signs, and then they go, signs. It's on ID channel. I don't know if you guys know what show I'm talking about, but it's a show that like people go on that's like parents of like serial killers or like, mass murderers and all this. And they talk about them, how they were growing up. And then it all kind of makes sense, like how they, their brain and their crimes elevated from like just doing stuff at home to doing stuff outside of the house, to escalating and escalating. So Kaylee D said, I love that show. Me too. I haven't watched it in a while. I think they have a new season on too.
Maybe he.
Oh, but I will say I do. I did hear, and I don't know how true this is. So just take my word. Take this with a grain of salt. I heard that Peacock, when they offered Asa Ellerup, Rex Heuermann's wife, $1 million for a deal, like exclusive deal for her story. They also offered Bryan Kohberger's parents $1 million and were willing to pay more, and they turned it down. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I did hear that.
Truly did want to do work to help small rural police departments. But I think we'll have to wait and see if any of this becomes relevant.
Let's stop here for another break. If Bryan Kohberger was once a shy and awkward kid, by the time he arrived in Pullman, Washington for his PhD studies, he was a totally different man. Benjamin Roberts took several classes with Kohberger at WSU.
He seemed very comfortable around other people. He was fairly quick to offer his opinion and thoughts, and he was always participating fairly eagerly in classroom discussions.
But Roberts also said Kohberger had an aura of academic arrogance about him. He would describe things in the most complicated way. Roberts also said Kohberger liked to brag about his dating life.
At one point, he just idly mentioned, I can go down to a bowl or a club and just have pretty much any lady I want.
Other classmates said Kohberger made inappropriate comments about the LGBTQ community and was often condescending towards women. One female doctoral student accused Kohberger of mansplaining during a particularly heated argument. As part of his PhD program, Kohberger was a teaching assistant in Washington State University's Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology.
Okay, I'm looking it up. Mansplaining. Let's see what that means. Mansplaining. This is like, what? Who makes up these words? Really? I mean, I'm going to make up some words and just put them in, just say that they're words. It says mansplaining refers to a man explaining something to a woman, often in a condescending, patronizing, or dismissive manner, assuming she lacks knowledge or understanding, even if she doesn't. It's rooted in gender stereotypes and reflects broader power dynamics where men are sometimes assumed to have more authority or expertise. Expertise? Come on now, guys. You know that women we can do it all. You know when we can do it all. Change a tire, change the oil. That's about all I could do. That's about all I got. Just kidding. I can mow the yard if I needed to, but I'm good on all that. Take the trash out. Mansplaining. Okay, I got it.
When he came into class, he was very, not super mentally present. He would stand up at the front, look at the ground.
Hayden Stinchfield said Kohberger was disliked by undergraduates because of his difficult grading. But that changed in November of 2022.
About a month before winter break, when the murders happened, he started grading everybody just 100s. You pretty much, if you turned something in, you were getting high marks, and he stopped leaving notes. It was just, he seemed preoccupied is what I would have said at the time. And now obviously he seems like he was probably pretty preoccupied.
In early December, a few weeks before his arrest, Kohberger was fired from his teaching assistant position after repeated conduct of unprofessional behavior. That behavior included fighting with a university professor and allegations he followed one female student to her car.
Better stay away from
More
my
on
car.
that next time.
Oh, gotta come back and gotta come back. More on that next time. I'm leaving you with a cliffhanger. Oh, look at me. I'm all the way down here. There I am. Okay. I'll pull the next thing in just a moment. But thank you guys all for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. We're going to go over and we're going to watch some of his first court appearances because I just wanted to kind of see his demeanor. I think he's acted the same, kind of just, stoic, looking straight ahead. Every once in a while, he'll give, when he's walking into court, he'll give Anne, if she's there, a little smile or something, but for the most part, he doesn't do much. And I don't know if that's him, if that's his personality and he really does have autism and that's just how he operates, or if he was acting like himself when he first got arrested and he was talking about having coffee with the cops and doing all that. Maybe that's how he really is, but he's making himself be quiet and look ahead and do all these things. I'm not going to do any good, right? They are holding off on executions. Not like this was going to matter to him until 2026. Not like he would get executed in 2026 anyway, but they are, because they're putting in a new, part of the firing squad. So that way the reporters can have a spot or something. So I saw that today. Hey, Dion. Right. Thinking all men are creepy because of one creep. Right. Women's planning. We probably do. We probably do. And welcome in, everybody. I'm just reading the chat. I feel like I don't get to read your guys' comments that much. Okay. So let me pull this up. This is just him walking in. Now, I don't think I didn't listen to this. I should have. I don't think JLR was there. Maybe he was. Someone does holler at him. I think it's a woman though, but it could be JLR. We're going to watch it and we're going to see. He does like to go to these places and, yell at people. So, and his parents are from Pennsylvania, I do believe.
Hey, Brian. How you feeling? How you feeling, Brian? Are you ready to go to Idaho? Why did you do it? Last time in Pennsylvania, Brian.
That's all we got. We literally got nothing. Is this them pulling up? Maybe this is them pulling up. Man, that officer's handsome, though. The one that's getting them out. Uh-huh.
Hey, Brian. How you feeling? How you feeling, Brian? Are you ready to go to Idaho?
Ready to go to Idaho?
Last time in Pennsylvania, Brian.
You ready to go to Idaho? He's probably like, no. Yeah, he yelled at Buster and he yelled at Alec Murdaugh too. That's his thing. I think I told him that before. Like, I've only talked to him that one time, I think, and I was like, don't ever stop doing that. I think that's hilarious. Like, I mean, if it's somebody that, you know, for the most part that's guilty, it's, I don't know. You can just hear JLR over everybody. You know, why'd you do it? Why did you kill him? And it's just like, whoa, you know. He gets in there, he gets the news though. I wonder if they're going to be there for the trial, if him and Magnolia are trying to go. Because it's, you know, it's just crazy, like how this trial is supposed to be August 11th, and we're kind of just sitting in purgatory right now, I feel like, because the judge hasn't said anything about the leak. He, you know, Ann Taylor put in that 40-page motion to, like, she wants the trial to be extended indefinite. She wants, like, and whenever she's ready to go to court, apparently. And so he hasn't given us a reason or a yes or a no or anything. So I'm just like, man. Also, Dolly and PJ are going to go too. I hope they can get seats in there. If not, I mean, I know Annie Elise is going. She said that she's going to stream outside of the courthouse if she can't get in, like if they can't get in there. I mean, I don't know if it'd be worth to go. Like if you were standing outside, if you could somehow watch it, you'd have to have your computer, but then your computer can only stand so much charge. And if you're standing outside, it's not like there's like outlets. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to think of how you would know what's going on inside. Because your devices you would need so many extra batteries. You would just, I don't know how that would work. I would be one of those people that would be like overpacked. I do that a lot though. Okay, so this is his first court appearance in Moscow. We never saw him when his appearance that I just showed you when he walked into the Pennsylvania courthouse. We saw another like video feed of him. He walks into the court. They're in there for about 15 minutes, if that, and then he walks back out, and that's all we get. So this is when he's back in Moscow, and this is Judge Megan Marshall. I think she was a really good judge. I really liked her. I thought she was going to be on it the whole time, but she's like magistrate judge or something like that. So I don't think she does like murders and stuff, but I wish she kind of would have done this case, because she says she did everything perfect, I think, in my opinion. So we're going to watch this. It's only 12 minutes long, but his first couple of court appearances were actually pretty short. Not like they are now. And I think this one's actually, it's kind of hard to hear, but I think she gets a little louder.
We're on the record
Let me boost the sound.
District, Latah County. This is the Magistrates Division of District Court. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger, cause number CR 29222805. Mr.
Sorry, it's so low.
Is present in court. He is in custody. He is appearing with his attorney, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for initial appearance. Mr. Kohberger, I am going to advise you of the rights that you have in this case. I am going to go over the criminal complaint with you, and then we're going to discuss setting the matter for further hearing. You have the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. That means the state bears the burden to prove that you are guilty of this offense beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing. At that hearing, the state must establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. You have a right to have that hearing within 14 days if you remain in custody. If you are bound over at that preliminary hearing to district court, if the court finds probable cause, you would be bound over to district court. And at that time, you can enter a plea of not guilty, and you can have a jury trial set within 6 months of your appearance in district court. At both your preliminary hearing and your jury trial, you have the right to confront and question any evidence or witnesses called against you. Call witnesses on your own behalf and compel witnesses to be present and testify at the state's expense. You have the right to be represented by a lawyer. If you cannot afford one, one could be appointed to represent you based upon your financial need. You also have the right to appeal any conviction in your case. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
I am now going to go over the criminal complaint with you. Count 1 of the criminal complaint charges you with the felony offense of burglary. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder, in violation of Idaho Code 18-1401 and 1403. The maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is not less than 1 year in prison, no more than 10 years in prison, and or a $50,000 fine. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 2 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogen, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. The maximum penalty for this offense, if you were to plead guilty or be found guilty, is death or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 3 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kaylee Gonsalves, a human being, by stabbing Kaylee Gonsalves, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is death and or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 4 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing Xana Kernodle, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 5 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died, in violation of Idaho Codes 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. And again, the maximum penalty for this offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
And Mr. Kohberger, would you like to represent yourself, hire a lawyer, or see if you qualify for court-appointed counsel?
I have court-appointed counsel.
Court has reviewed your application for attorney at public expense. I do find that you are indigent and do qualify for court-appointed counsel. I will appoint Ms. Taylor to represent you in this case. Ms. Taylor, have you had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Kohberger about speedy preliminary hearing and setting this matter?
Your Honor, I have. We would ask the court to set the status hearing in a week or two to make a final determination.
Okay. And Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, are you in agreement with that?
That's fine to state, Your Honor.
will go ahead and set this matter for a status hearing then on the calendar on January 12th at 10 o'clock a.m. We will make sure notice is sent, and then Ms. Taylor, do you wish to argue bail at this time?
Your Honor, I would like to ask the court to consider setting a bond. Mr. Kohberger right now is on a no bond hold, but it's a limited request as I don't have enough information. We are new to the case. We haven't reviewed very much in the way of information about the case, and we have just begun our own work on the case. But we would want the court to know that Mr. Kohberger has a good family that stands up to him.
And Mr. Thompson.
The state's position is Mr. Kohberger is not entitled to bond in this case. The charges, as is noted on the arrest warrant itself. Under Code 19-816, 19-2903, both specify that given the potential penalties in this case, there's no right to bail. The defendant was arrested 3,000 miles away across the country, where his family was. We asked that he remain in custody. No bail.
At this point in time, pursuant to Idaho Criminal Law 46B and Idaho Code 19-816 and 2903, I am going to leave the bail set at this case as no bail at this point in time until I have additional or further information at a later date and time. So with that, then Mr. Kohberger, you will be remanded in custody and remain in custody on the no bail pending further proceedings in this matter. Is there anything further in the case then for today, Mr. Thompson?
Yes, Your Honor. The state
Same cop.
asking for no contact orders for various family members of deceased and also roommates. I'm supposed to brief you with the state or indication there's no objection.
And Taylor, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
So I will go ahead and issue those no contact orders. So I do have a no contact order then for the named individual of Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk, as well as the family members and Mr. Chapin, the family members of Ms. Kernodle, excuse me, yes, Mr. and Ms. Laramie, Mr. Mobin, Ms. Cheeley, and then a number of members of the
Wait.
Gonsalves family.
Is he shaking his head yes? Or am I seeing stuff?
Laramie, Mr. Mobin, Ms. Cheeley, and then a number of members of the Gonsalves family.
Maybe
Those
I'm just seeing
specific
stuff.
names will certainly be provided to
No, he did.
Mr.
He definitely did. He definitely shook his head yes, like he was aware.
Kohberger by way of being provided notice of these documents. You'll get a copy of these no contact orders. What you do need to be advised of and what will be in this no contact order is you are prohibited from having any contact with them whatsoever. You cannot contact them through a third person in writing or via any electronic means. You cannot Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, use the phone to communicate with them or otherwise any form of communication in direct or indirectly with them. You cannot engage in any conduct that would harass, stalk, threaten, use, attempt to use, or threaten to use any physical force or violence upon them or place them in reasonable fear of bodily injury. Cannot go within or knowingly remain within 300 feet of their person or their home, workplace, or any other place where they might be. There are no exceptions to these orders. And if you do violate these orders, it is a new misdemeanor offense. It is punishable by up to a year in jail and or a $1,000 fine or both. At this point in time, due to being in the magistrate's division here at this juncture, I am going to issue the no contact orders for a period of 2 years. And then if it
Shaking his
needs to
head
be
like he
modified or
knows.
changed by additional judge, it can be done so at that time. Is there anything further, Mr. Thompson?
Like his eyes even don't even look that bad. Like they don't look like they're super wide open, you know, like he just seen a ghost. He looks like he's blinking normally, head's nodding, like he's well aware of what's going on. A little different than what he acts like now, I think.
Anything further, Ms. Taylor? All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
Also, you see two guys back here. Apparently, I don't remember like who his exact team of lawyers were at first. I just know that Anne, you know, came in and she was the first one on the team, and Jay Logston. But there's another guy with them. So I'm wondering if he had two male attorneys that they switched out for two female attorneys. I don't know. You let me know what you think. Also, I wrote down how they read off the names again because I couldn't remember. Remember whenever we first like was going over this and people were asking about, they were like, do you think that they read off the names in the two court proceedings? The next one we're going to hear, I believe in the next one, they'll say the names again. But people were wondering if they were read in the same order as they died. And to me, that could quite possibly be 100% true. I went back through the transcript and they read them off as Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and then Ethan. And as we have or starting to know, or, you know, or getting to learn, we're learning through this whole, you know, process that those that was probably the way that they were unalived or killed. You know, it was probably Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and then Ethan. But we won't know until trial if we do find out, which I mean, I think that we will. I hope we do. I hope we find out everything. So actually, this isn't it. Okay, so this is the next one. The next one is only 15 minutes long. It's not very long either. And I think it's louder. Let me see. Yeah, it's louder. This is whenever he walks into the courtroom. This is when he's still in his orange jail, you know, jail garb. And this is his arraignment. So he'll be in front of Judge Marshall again. I just kind of want to see what his appearance is, you know, in his first couple of court appearances, like how he, you know, how he acted. If you guys don't mind, since you're here anyway, you know, take a second, hit the like button for me. I do appreciate it if you can do that. If you don't like the video, hit the thumbs down. I mean, either way, it's all engagement. And, you know, I could take some criticism if I need it. Also, if you do appreciate the content and you do like a true crime, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and play this and we'll talk through it. Like, they don't even, like, why don't they have him handcuffed? That, to me, is weird, right? Don't they normally have them handcuffed? Maybe not. Because they don't want, like, but there's no jury people here to see him to make any assumptions. You know what I mean? I mean, we're all looking on TV, but I think that what they did was they put that leg brace on him. And that, like, shocks you if you go to move. He pulled the seat out for him. What a lady.
All rise. Thank you very much. Please be seated.
This was the day that Ann Taylor forgot to straighten the back of her hair. She never made that mistake again after this day.
Good morning, everybody. We have some people on Zoom here too, so we'll do a high wave. Okay, let's get on the record, please. Thank you. Okay, we are now on the record in State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger, CR 29222803. Mr. Kohberger is in the courtroom along with his attorney, Ms. Taylor. I believe also part of the team is Jay Logston and Elisa Massacre, who is participating by Zoom, I believe. The state is represented by Mr. Thompson, Lake County Prosecutor's Office, or Prosecuting Attorney. Ms. Jennings is of that office too, Lake County Prosecutor's Office. Also, part of that team is Ingrid Beatty and Jeff Nye, both from the Idaho Attorney General's Office. I'm John Judge.
I think I skipped one. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I was just like looking it up and I'm like, wait, this isn't the second one. I think it's this one. I'm just going to double check. Yeah. This is like 5 minutes long. Share this tab. Okay. So let me share this one with you, actually. This one, I believe, this is still Miss Judge Marshall. And then we can even watch the next one too, you know, because I wanted to watch his arraignment again. I think there's one of these I didn't watch. Remember? Was it the arraignment? I was so mad. Like something happened. I'm still very passionate, but in the beginning of this case, it was like a whole different level of like passion. And now I can't remember. Maybe one of you guys will. It might have been the arraignment. Maybe I watched the arraignment and then it was like the court proceeding after that. But I remember I got so mad. I was like, I'm not even watching it. I was so mad.
All right.
Please be seated.
Closed captioning's on. Oh, this is when he shaved.
We are on the record.
Oh, Kohberger had to shave with a jail razor, you know. He probably never had to do that before, so he's learning the hard way.
This is cause number CR 29222805. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. Mr. Kohberger is in custody. He is appearing here in court with his attorneys, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Logston, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for the preliminary hearing status conference. So I am going to inquire of counsel, Ms. Taylor, what's the status at this time?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are going to ask the court to set preliminary hearing out into June. We would request the 3rd or 4th week of June and probably 4 or 5 days for preliminary hearing. Mr. Kohberger understands his right to a timely preliminary hearing and he's willing to waive the timeliness to allow us time to obtain discovery in this case and be prepared.
And Mr. Thompson, are you in agreement with that?
The state has no objection to that, Your Honor. Ms. Taylor reached out to us by email yesterday with her proposal. On reflection, the state's calendar would be better in the month of July, but we will make the end of June work if that's the court's preference. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Taylor about that. I'm sorry, I know that's last minute.
That's okay. The court's calendar is going to be better towards the end of June, early July. So would that work, Ms. Taylor, for your scheduling on your other matters?
Your Honor, yes, if we take that 4th week in June, that's actually best.
Okay.
We wish, didn't we?
Mr. Kohberger, I need to speak to you for a moment then. Sir, you do understand, and Ms. Taylor has represented here, that she's advised you of your right to have or fully discuss with you
the right that you have, which is to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of the date that you initially appeared before this court. As you recall, when I advised you of your rights, that hearing is a probable cause hearing where the state has to establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. If you waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing, it does not mean that you're giving up your right to have a preliminary hearing. It simply means that you would not be able to come back and challenge that the state did not present probable cause within 14 days. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with Ms. Taylor about your decision to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to do so?
No.
Then I will ask at this time as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022. Are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
And Ms. Taylor, do you concur with this waiver?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I will find your waiver of speedy preliminary hearing is knowing, intelligently, voluntarily entered here in open court with the assistance of counsel. We will go ahead and set the matter for a preliminary hearing.
So they're setting this next hearing up.
Beginning
I thought they read the names off again, but I guess not. Maybe. Still have another minute.
Monday, June 26th at 9:00 a.m.
Remember, we thought we were having a preliminary hearing June 26th of it would have been 2023. What a joke. We really fooled ourselves, didn't we?
And I will go ahead and reserve the week, so June 26th to June 30th, in the event that we need all 5 days for presentation of evidence. And just so council knows, it will begin at 9 a.m. each of those days. Is there anything further to address at this time in the case, Mr. Thompson?
Not from the state perspective.
Or Ms. Taylor?
No.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your saying no bail at this
No
point
bail.
in time, pending further proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to council and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So when was this? January 12th, 2023. This was out, right? Now, if you were innocent and you had proof that you were innocent, wouldn't you have gotten that together by now? Maybe so, probably. Gotten that alibi defense together. Because the alibi that he's working with is not working. I mean, he's going to have proof that he was stargazing. Does he have any stargazing apps on his phone? I don't even know if there are stargazing apps. Does he have a star that's named after him? Just for him? Yeah. But this is the next video. So I guess he got better with the razor. This is John Judge. So we'll watch this one. It's already 2 minutes in, so it's about 12 minutes.
Are you doing okay back there, sweet girl?
I forgot my dog was in here with me. She wanted to leave at the beginning of the live, and then I heard her at the door.
She looks so sweet. Hey, sweetie.
I'll have to put her on camera in a minute. And then he did miss school, and yep, Monday the 14th. Yeah, I think that he had his dad come out there. Maybe that was already planned, but I think he might have he may have told his dad about the school part of everything. I don't think that he would tell his dad that he unalived 4 people, right? I don't think his dad would be able to live with that and not turn him in. I think his dad would. I don't know. But I don't want to say. Gazing alibi is just not going to work. He's going to have something better. It was an overcast. It was cold. It was just like not the night to be stargazing. Like he could have said, I was out running. Like that's something that he does, right? I mean, that's something that he has a buddy that he goes running with. I mean, if I was him, I would have been like, I was out running and I turned my phone off or my phone went dead or just whatever, right? He shouldn't have taken his phone with him. Shouldn't take your phone with you, buddy. I mean, even if you would have been like dumb and got a burner phone because they're still traceable, but if you would have got rid of it, it might not have been. They might not have been able to track it if they didn't have the actual phone. Because in the Oklahoma murders with the two women, Veronica and Jillian, they found the phones in the burial site, and then they just turned them. They just did their digital forensics, and they knew exactly when they were turned on, where they were at, all that. And they thought they were being sneaky. They were getting burner phones from like Walmart. Everybody goes to Walmart too, including Kohberger. I mean, Walmart knows you more than you know yourself. Them cameras do. I'm telling you. I'm always talking about the cameras there.
County District Judge, and I'll be presiding over this case. So, Mr. Kohberger, you've already heard a lot of what I'm going to tell you at your initial appearance, but I'll repeat it to you because it's important, and I want to remind you of these issues. So I'll briefly cover your rights, the charges against you, and the maximum penalties if you are found guilty or if you plead guilty. So I'm going to start with the rights. You have a constitutional right to have an attorney represent you throughout these proceedings. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, then one is appointed at public expense. Ms. Taylor and her team have already been appointed, so that's taken care of. You have a right to a speedy and public jury trial where the state would be required to prove every element of each charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. At that trial, you would have the right to cross-examine the witnesses called against you. That means to see, hear, and question them, to call witnesses to testify for you, and if you choose to testify in your own defense. But you're not required to testify because you also have a right of silence. That right is protected under the Idaho and federal constitutions, so you can remain silent throughout these court proceedings, and that can't be held against you. What you do need to remember, though, is that anything you do say, other than to your lawyers, could be used against you in a later court proceeding. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. You also have a right to appeal any final decision of the court. In order to exercise that right, you need to file a notice of appeal within 42 days of that final decision, or that right is waived. Also, if you are not a United States citizen, any finding of guilt in this state could have adverse consequences to your legal status. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
Any questions about the rights?
No.
All right. So let's go to the indictment. You have a copy of the indictment in front of you?
Yes.
Thank you. And you see in the heading your name there. Is that your correctly spelled complete name?
Yes, it is.
Is that the correct birth date underneath your name?
Yes.
Are those the correct last four digits of your social security number?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to read you the charges on the indictment, starting with count 1, burglary. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-1401 and 1403. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. Count 2, murder in the first degree. That was a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges
it's
that
119.
you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. Count 3, murder in the first degree, a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kayla Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing Kayla Gonzalez, from which she died. Count 4, murder in the first degree. That's a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Alleging that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Zaina Kernodle. Excuse me. This is hard. I'm sorry. Zaina Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing Zaina Kernodle, from which she died. Count 5, murder in the first degree. This is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died. This is signed on May 16, 2023, by the presiding grand jury. So now I'm going to go to the maximum penalties of each charge, starting with count 1, burglary, minimum 1 year, in up to 10 years in imprisonment, fine of up to $50,000 or both fine and imprisonment, restitution for the victim's economic losses resulting from the crime. For counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, murder in the first degree, maximum penalties, life in prison or the death penalty. Fine of up to $50,000 for both fine and life in prison or the death penalty. Restitution for the victim's economic losses resulting from the crime. Also, additional fine of up to $5,000 to be paid directly to the victim's families. If you are found guilty or plead guilty on each charge, and the maximum sentences are imposed consecutively, that means one right after the other, you could be facing 10 years in prison, followed by 4 consecutive life sentences or death penalty, fines of up to $200,000 and $20,000 to be paid directly to the families, with any restitution resulting from the crimes.
Wow.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, do you understand the charge in count 1?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge?
Like, wow, did you see his jaw? Like, he can't hide it. Like, he is mad. I'm gonna go back a little, like, right where, and he says, yeah. Like, he says, yeah, and then when he goes back, he, like, clenches his jaw. Like, I can't even imagine his teeth. He probably needs a mouth guard from grinding them bitches, you know?
Do you understand the charge in count 1?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum
Like, we see his cheek right there.
penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 3, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 4, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 5, murder in the
Yes.
first degree? Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, is Mr. Kohberger prepared to plead to these charges?
Your Honor, we will be standing silent.
Okay, because Mr.
So she says, we will be standing silent. Why couldn't he get up and do that? If he's innocent, right? Why couldn't he get up and say, I'm standing silent? Or I'm innocent, actually. That's what I'd be saying. But if he's doing this whole, standing silent defense, I just feel like he doesn't give this judge, none of these judges, I feel like he just doesn't give them the respect that they should have. He does say yes, but where's the your honor? Yes, your honor. Not even one. I don't know. I despise that. I think that if you are in the presence of a judge and you're in trouble, especially, you should be saying yes, no, your honor. That's just me. Call me old fashioned.
Kohberger is standing silent. I'm going to enter not guilty pleas.
See, if he wants to stand silent, I would be like, I'm going to enter all guilty pleas then. Why not? Why do we have to enter a not guilty plea? I mean, because it's the law. I know that, but why did we make that a law? If they can't say, you know what I mean? I don't know. I would say you need to tell me you're old enough. You're an adult. Are you innocent or guilty? Or are you standing silent? But he had Ann Taylor do it.
Charge counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, at this juncture, the state has 60 days to give notice of intention to seek the death penalty. And Mr. Kohberger has a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy trial. So let's start with you, Ms. Taylor, and then Mr. Thompson to discuss some scheduling.
Your Honor, we'd ask the court to set this trial at the very outside of the speedy trial, right? We're not prepared to do anything but ask the court to do that today.
Okay. I counted out when that will be November.
I have not counted it out, Your Honor, but I believe that would be about November 22nd is when it's done. Maybe November 20th. So I'd ask the court to set October's trial date.
How long do you think it'll take to try the case?
My best guess is it would take at least 4 weeks, maybe 6.
So you'd like me to set this for a 6-week trial?
At this point, I would, Your Honor.
In order to do so, I will have to get rid of some of the other 3 trials I have, but this is more critical and more important. So, Mr. Thompson, what's your...
Those trial dates are workable for the state judge.
Thank you. about October 2nd, starting.
Yes,
Okay, for 6 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Anything else we need to address today, Ms. Taylor?
not with regard to the trial setting.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
Nothing to say at this time, no.
He talks so low. Sorry, I didn't know. It's okay. I wasn't saying much.
All right. So with that, by the way, I do want to let everybody know, if they don't already know this, that once the grand jury issued the indictment, preliminary hearing scheduled to start on June 26th was no longer needed and is vacated. So some people are confused about that.
So that's when they vacated the June 26th preliminary hearing.
So I think.
And I think they made it for October.
And the media and the public for your attention and respect. So we are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, they're adjourned. Yeah, so I don't know, like his first couple court appearances, it seemed like he was a little more like animated, not like a lot by any means, but definitely the jaw clenching was fierce. It was fierce. Both times, Judge John Judge, although he would, read the names off horribly wrong, and he did apologize for that, and he felt really bad. But and they are kind of hard names, but he read off of them in the same order as Judge Marshall. Now I don't know if that order just happens to be like kind of the same order that we think that they, maybe died, but maybe that's how they read them out. I remember Googling it before and trying to figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out. I wonder if I were to call like local courthouse, if they would be able to tell me that kind of information. They'd probably be like, why do you want to know? Why do you want to know? And I didn't know I was muted. I muted myself because I got up to let the dog out, and now she's at the door. I was like, I'll let her come back in a minute. So, I wanted to just show you guys that stuff tonight, and also let you guys know that tomorrow we'll go over the, it's like a bonus part of the podcast. And then we'll go over another episode of the podcast. So we'll do two episodes, and then, I'll have some other stuff for you guys as well. I'm trying to see which one this one it means. From the start, investigators described the brutal murders at the University of Idaho as targeted attacks. But what connection, if any, is there between a PhD grad student and 4 undergrad co-eds? So that's what it's going to be about. 35 minutes it'll be. Now, did you guys hear? I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter, but if you don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you do, because I tweet a lot of stuff over there. And I don't bring it to YouTube because it's just easy to retweet it. And I also have a TikTok for both of my channels. So I have one for Unfiltered now as well. And tomorrow I'm going to do a live over on Unfiltered, the channel, Unfiltered with Tanya. So that way I can let you guys know. I'll let you know the TikTok over there tomorrow if you guys want to follow me, because I'm doing more live vlogging kind of TikToks and stuff on that channel. So it'll be more of stuff around my house, vacations, traveling, shopping, gossiping a little bit, and then going over current events and things like that. So we are going to go over a current event that just happened tonight. I don't know if you guys watch Chris Lee Knows Best, the TV show that was out, but Todd and Julie Chrisley went to prison for money laundering, something with money, they were stealing tons of money, right? Well, their daughter has been trying to get them out of prison ever since. She's been trying to advocate for them, blah blah blah, right? I'm giving you the short version, so you have to come back tomorrow. Well, President Trump, I guess, pardoned them tonight. He's like, yeah, we're gonna have you out of there by tomorrow. Excuse me? Why? What? Just, I'm confused. So we're going to read about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to bitch about it. So if you're into that, make sure you come over to Unfiltered tomorrow. I'll drop the channel link in the chat for the channel over there. It's going to be a good channel. And also I did put a community post up today. If you guys have any, have any ideas on what you want to, like the content that you want to see on my second channel, drop the comment and on the community post on my wall and let me know. Whatever you guys want to, kind of see or hear or whatever or do, let me know. I'm open. So the Chrisleys, so they have like a TV show and I used to watch it and I don't know, I really liked it, but I haven't watched it. I never watched it towards the end. And I mean, I know that, I don't know. I know it's just, it's not, it's more of like a blue collar crime, but it's kind of like, and they shouldn't have got as many years as they got. I don't believe that. I think they got like 30 years or something crazy. They shouldn't have got like that many years, but I don't know, for the president just to have that authority to be able to pardon whoever he wants. I don't know. Isn't there like a system we have that like someone can veto that if they want to? I need to learn. I don't know, but I don't really do politics. That's why I don't, I genuinely don't know. I wish that I could get away with not paying my taxes. That'd be great. That'd be freaking wonderful. I have 2 businesses. This is considered a business. So we have to pay our taxes every year, on this, which I'm going to try to start paying mine every month. If I can do that, I can do that with my store. So I need to start doing that with like my store and stuff, because it's not that much each month, so just because then I do my taxes and I'm like, oh my God, you're like, oh, makes you want to cry a little. Let me make sure this takes you to the right page. It does. I did it right. Cool. Nope, they can't veto the president. Wow. So whatever he just wants to do. Well, shoot. I mean, I guess if you're going to veto, if you're going to pardon someone, that's not like, but I don't know. Isn't that crazy, Micro? Like, I mean, hey, Mary Beth, I don't think that, so I'll tell you a story. Do you guys remember when this was back in like 2007, I think, Paris Hilton, her T-Mobile Sidekick, remember those phones that slid open? It got hacked by someone. Well, the person that was involved in hacking her stuff, I dated him. His dad owns like Bob Evans and stuff. Like he was a pretty stellar kind of cool guy, but yeah, he definitely went to Vegas with some friends and did that. And I didn't know. He didn't even tell me. Like didn't tell me for months. And there was cars following him, like black cars, like it was the FBI. They followed us one night. He's like, oh my God, they're here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he finally was like, these cars have been following me. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, what did he do? Because he's so like not a troublemaker, right? And he ended up going to jail. And it was one of those farm jails though, that are like literally you're like on a farm. You're not even in like a prison. So, he went for like 18 months or something, but it was him and like 3 of his friends. He copied her contacts and he released them. Yeah, he didn't do that, but he helped break into the phone because he was good with like computers and like technology and all that weird stuff. I mean, like the weird stuff about technology, like the deep, dark stuff. Like I didn't know though. Yeah, they sold the information and stuff. Yeah. I remember like it happening so vividly, but not because he told me. Like I just remember being on the news, and I probably even said something to him. It took him a while before he said anything. Did you guys? Oh, so I was going to tell you guys earlier. So they have this new thing that they're rolling out for creators. I saw it on a couple people's lives where it like, if you are the number 1 person that sends like super chats or super thanks or something in that chat, you'll have like this number 1 beside your name now. And then like number 2 and number 3. And I don't know how many numbers it goes down. Maybe just like the first 3 or 4. But I was like, wow, that's kind of cool in a way. But then in a way, it's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like puts a spotlight on the people that support your channel the most, which is good. But if they don't want that spotlight, then maybe it would be bad. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's like a super fan number. Yeah, I was like, what is this I'm seeing? But it's not on my chat yet. I didn't see it anyway. So, but I just thought it was pretty cool. I was like, huh. I can go into like Nightbot though, and it'll tell me like the person that like comments the most. So top chatters, Ladybug, Baby Girl, Captain, Ashley Higgins, DM, Squeaky, Pete, Ice Cream, Carl, Kathy, Three Sides, Willows, Princess Elsa, True Crime. Oh, I need to get a hold of Ishi. Catherine's in there. Jet Set J, Mary Beth. Yeah, Ladybug, you've been rocking it, girl. You've been rocking it. Wow. You have over, you have 1,039 messages. I love that. Baby girl has 534. Ladybug's like, I've been doing my job. She's like, I've been telling everybody to like the video and I've been greeting every single person. I love that. Was JLR a hacker? I don't know, actually. I know he tried to sue a bunch of people. And then he did some stuff. He said he was like the uncle of one of the Sandy Hook shooting victims or something. Oh, that wasn't good. That wasn't a good look. I thought about, so when we do the members, I thought about doing that too with the members giveaways. I'm going to try to do one like once a month. And I thought about just like even doing something like, you know, that people that are in the like top chatter list, like taking those names and writing them down if I have to. If I can't find something to jumble them up, I'll jumble them up in a little container right in front of you. But because we did a giveaway like that before I knew how to work this thing. So we could do something like that even. I think that'd be cool. But messages today alone, 6,900. That's pretty good. I don't know. No, in 17 months. I don't know. Actually, I don't know, Ladybug. I wonder how long it does go for. I don't think it's the whole time. Would it be? It might be. No, I don't know. Because I think Ashley's put more than 377 messages in 2 years. She's been here. It must be like the month or something. I don't know. We'll have to see it. We'll see next month if it like regenerates or something. Squeaky, he's asleep. Is that what? Because I knew he went to prison. I just wasn't sure. Oh, he hacked into banks. Damn, Willows. Wow. Yeah, Micro, I believe that too. Transactions need to go down. Ugh. Oh. Kara, that's a good idea. I mean, I kind of wondered if he like used, you know, one of those gloves that you can use for like cutting fruit and stuff so that he wouldn't get cut. Or if he slipped with the knife, it wouldn't cut him. I was just reading their chat. Really? Well, it was probably. He wrote a book about it. I thought about buying the book and reading it. Just because, you know, I'm like, if he'll sign it, if he signs it, you know, something cool. Hacked into banks, man. There is a lot of crazy people on the platform, though. I mean, we all got our problems and issues, but I can say I've never been in prison. Ooh, that'd be scary. Could you picture me in prison? I'd have to get more tattoos or something. I would get prison tats. See, I would be bored. Don't put me in prison. I come out with prison tats on my face and stuff. Just kidding. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But I probably would get tattoos. More tattoos. I only have 2. But that's all I really have for you guys for tonight. I'm going to come back on tomorrow. We're going to do another podcast. Oh, there was something that I was reading about. What was it? Was this? No, it wasn't anything good. Okay. And then I looked on Twitter and stuff. I didn't see anything. What? Why Okay. Why are we going backwards? Why are we talking about Dana Smithers? Like, we already know that Bryan Kohberger wasn't involved in that case. The Pennsylvania police told us already. That's why people were talking about her again. I was wondering why. This is a creator. It's freaking, what's her face? Jessica Dela Davies, that girl, that lady. I don't watch hers, but she's just on my Twitter feed. But yeah, what about Dana Smithers? Dana Smithers was like lady that was killed like in Pennsylvania or something, and they said that there was no connection. So, and I don't think that there is. If the PA cops they checked it out and they're like, there's no connection, I'm sure that they would love to find a connection, right? They want to solve the case. So, I don't know. Oh, have fun reading. I need to start doing that before I go to bed instead of like watching YouTube. Good night, Ash. I put up on my TikTok today for Unfiltered. I put a little I have a reading nook. I don't use it. I need to. It's really cute. But I have a little reading nook, has like a little chair and lamp and stuff and pretty little pictures. And I redo it. I put different blankets and pillows and like decorations on the table and stuff. So if you're into that kind of cool looking stuff, that's what I do on that channel. So transitions and stuff. So Micro, that lady, Micro, I don't know about her though. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to watch her. I've never really watched her. I'm just wondering why she's bringing up Dana Smithers. Don't do it. Don't do it. Seinfeld. Oh, Micro, I've seen like every episode of Seinfeld. I didn't like Seinfeld until I got older. Like when I was younger, I'm like, this is the dumbest show ever. Like I didn't get it because it was adult humor, you know? But now that I'm older, like a lot older, I'm like, I love Seinfeld. I actually, when I lived in Columbus and I didn't have a TV or like cable for a while, I used to watch old episodes of Seinfeld. Wonder whatever happened to those DVDs. I must have got rid of them. It's kind of sad. You know? Redecorating and reorganizing one of your bedrooms tomorrow. Oh, I bet that's exciting, Willows. I love redecorating. It's my favorite. And if you can't afford to redecorate, I'm going to give you a tip. Someone gave me this tip and I was like, that's really a really cool idea, actually. So if you want to redecorate your home, but you don't have like the money to redecorate your home, just move the stuff that's in your house already. Like, so, you know, I have like, I've shown you a picture before, but I have like a mirror here and I have like two little things for potted like plants, and I have like a little picture. Like I could take everything off of this wall and move it like over to this wall and move this stuff to this wall. Or if you're, you know, want to switch up the whole bedroom, like, you know, you can take all this stuff out and take it into the living room and put it in the living room, you know, just like just move stuff around. I don't know. I've heard that like makes you feel better. It makes it feel like your house is like a refresh, you know, because you're not like seeing the same things in the same spots. So. Oh, okay. Thanks, Micro, for explaining it. I'm gonna have to go over there and check her out. I've never checked. I've never been on her channel. I don't really watch I don't watch anybody that does Idaho 4 really. I need to. I stopped because everybody that was covering it at one point, it was all conspiracy after conspiracy after conspiracy. And so I was just kind of like, I just was like, I'm not going to watch anybody because I was afraid that the information that was untrue would get into my head and then I'd bring it over here to you guys and spill it out. Does that make sense? Like telephone. So I try not to watch a whole lot, but I need to start. So maybe I'll start with her. I'll go over and join a live or something one day. Or if I see her live, I'll have to check her out. Let me go over there so I can remember. Okay. All right. I went over there to make sure I remember. Yeah, the conspiracy is just like, I mean, I like a little like, I like to think, and I like people that don't have the same thought process as me. I like having a debate. Like, debating is fun to me, like, as long as it's like an adult conversation. But like conspiracies and stuff, like some of them are just too far gone, like just too far. I'm like, what? Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry. Well, now you can redo your other one and you can make sure it's everything that you want. You know, you can always change the rooms out. Yeah. That's what we've done that here. Like, we've had our bedroom and our living room before. Like, we really did. And then our like couch, we had like this little, like really small, like futon couch or something, you know, and we had that like in our dining room. And we had everything like ass backwards, but we were the only ones ever here. So it's like, why not, you know? And it was just bigger and the ceilings were vaulted. And then that's when I had my studio in that other room. That's why it was so big. That's our bedroom. So. Yeah, Reba, I still do. I still sneak. And I was thinking of you today, Reba. I have the blanket you made me. It's in a basket, and I want to put it on the couch, but it's been raining, and I don't want the dogs to get it dirty. I don't want them to touch it. So I'm like going to do a TikTok where I, transition the living room into like spring. So it'll be in that video. Yeah, Dion, she says that she was ready, and then she said she wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, hit the like button on your way out. That would be great. That would be really great. That'd be really, really great. It'd be even better if you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you have your bell icon on to alert you for any lives that I do. Sometimes I'll, pop on, I'll do a day live, or, sometimes I'll have to change the time. But normally I'm always here at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If not, I make the time 9:35 Eastern Standard Time. Let me know what time in the comment section works for you after this live, because I noticed that later on the live tonight, people came in. So maybe I need to go a little later, which I thought we were kind of going late. But if we do need to go later, let me know. Let me know. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. I'll be back on tomorrow, like I said. If anything comes out with Bryan and the judge, I'll be right on to talk about it and let you guys know what the judge said, because that's what we're kind of just waiting on, his word. Is he going to prolong the trial? Is he going to give Anne what she wants? Is he going to take the death penalty off the table, but still have the, case go on just as like it would? Is he not going to do anything about the Dateline episode and the stuff that leaked out? Who knows? Is he going to toss that evidence? We don't know, but we need to find out. They need to tell us. So hopefully they tell us and they don't seal it. I don't see him sealing that. I see him telling us, because obviously they're going to have to put it on the docket if they're changing the trial date. So, but yeah, I will be back on tomorrow. I'm going to do a live on the other channel, and I will see you guys all then. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see